Hola, mi gente, and welcome to Cuéntame con Sonia Camacho. This short form podcast features the stories of Latinos from our community, from engineers, business owners, students, and so much more. Each episode will give you a quick boost of motivation and encouragement before starting your day. I'm your host, Sonia Camacho. Thank you for being here. Now let's get into today's episode. Welcome back to Cuéntame con Sonia Camacho. Today, I actually have a guest that I met through TikTok. His name is Jaime Munoz. Jaime is the son of Mexican immigrants and has shared his story of being a first generation student on his social platforms. He recently graduated with an MBA from Stanford University and is now working for a startup in Chicago. Jaime, please tell us a little bit more about yourself and then we can really dive into your story.
Definitely. And Sonia, thanks again for having me. I'm super excited and I love coaching and teaching others about my journey to see if that helps them. So,
Yeah.
missions aligned. So just to kind of kick us off, as Sonia mentioned, first gen Mexican American. I'm the oldest of four. I went to UCLA for undergrad, majored in economics, and then went into management consulting for 5 years. Then I decided to pursue my MBA. So I went to Stanford. And like Sony mentioned, now I'm in Chicago working at a startup, leading strategy and operations for a fintech.
That's awesome. So being at Stanford, that's pretty prestigious. So I kind of want to get into the academic journey. I know you briefly mentioned it, but let's talk a little bit more in detail about how you got there and as a Latino, like what that was like, and any experiences that you went through, if any stories come to mind.
Definitely. So to start off, I think it also just kind of goes back to my upbringing. So
Mhm.
as the firstborn in my family, I had immense pressure to succeed. And it wasn't really from my parents. It was more self pressure to succeed. I saw
Yeah.
my parents work extremely hard, both working manual labor jobs, and I felt that education was going to be my path to not have that same journey. So I studied really hard, again, very self imposed, self driven. And my parents also were, when I was younger, dealing with a lot of citizenship issues. And at one point, they were at risk of getting deported to Mexico.
Oh,
So
wow.
I remember working with the lawyer in San Francisco to share my family story and also my desire to make education my top priority. So the judges, like, they were really sympathetic to my story. They really believed what I was trying to go for, and I felt like that was the initial spark in my driving factor. So I fully focused on education. That was the only thing I was responsible for, and was able to succeed. Yeah, so I first started out at UCLA, and I realized pretty quickly after graduating that I wasn't done, especially with
Mhm.
my education. And one of the things that I was looking for in my master's degree was I wanted to pursue an MBA as a stamp of credibility. I wanted any door that I entered at any point in my career, I wanted people to see Jaime Munoz, Stanford MBA, and already know that I was successful and already know that I was capable of doing whatever they wanted me to work on.
That's awesome. And can you tell us what your major was at UCLA and then your MBA was just a master's of business, correct?
Correct, correct. At UCLA, I majored in
Oh,
economics.
right. Sorry, you said that.
No worries. And I minored, this is the fun part, I minored in film, TV, and digital media. So
Oh, wow.
I didn't even know that TikTok was going to be in my future, but that's kind of where it started.
Cool. Well, I guess with that, let's talk about your content creation journey. When did you start that? I know I actually found you through my mom. She would send me your videos with your grandma.
That's
She's like, look at him and his abuela. They're doing like little get ready with me videos or like outfit of the day videos. So, how did you really get into it and when did that all start for you?
Yeah, so it actually started 2021. 2021. So this was after a year after the COVID pandemic. This was around the time where people were a little bit more relaxed about seeing each other physically.
Mhm.
And since for a year I didn't see my family members, right? And I was attending Stanford in the Bay Area. My family is from the Bay Area. So not being able to see them was extremely difficult because that's never happened before. I have
Yeah.
never been able to like not see them, right? And finally, when I was able to see them, my mom actually told me that my grandma was struggling with the idea of being in the U.S. She
Oh,
has a lot of grandchildren and a lot of relatives in the area, but because no one was able to visit, she was kind of wondering what's my purpose here? Why am I still
Mhm.
here? Am I happy? Maybe I should go back to Mexico and enjoy my time with my family and friends over there. And that really upset me because I felt like as a grandchild, I didn't want my grandma to be feeling these feelings of being unwanted. So what I actually did was I organized a brunch, I guess, with my family to have menudo. And my
Oh.
grandma, one of her love languages is making food for her grandchildren and her family in general. So I organized all the cousins to come to the house, made sure that everyone was healthy, and we had menudo brunch at the family. We had menudo and mimosas. And seeing how happy my grandma was, it kind of gave me an idea of recording her making more traditional Mexican recipes. I've
Mhm.
always wanted to create a cookbook, like a physical cookbook, but I thought, you know what, maybe this is the start. Let me
Yeah.
record all of the recipes. Let me actually learn how to make these dishes and let me preserve this history, right, for the rest of the family for generations to come. So that's kind of how it started. We started off as making food videos. And then from there, as she got more comfortable with the camera, we were doing get ready with me's, or not get ready with me's, we were doing outfits of the day. Sorry, we were doing
Yeah.
outfits of the day. We were doing coffee chats. I was asking her more questions about her childhood, and now we just do trendy videos. We do whatever we can whenever we see each other.
I love that. My family's also based out of the Bay, and I've been trying to get my grandma to do some outfit videos with me, and she like refuses to. So I think that's so awesome that your grandma's like down to do that. And I recently saw in one of your TikToks that you were talking about taking a leap and going into a startup rather than like a FANG company or something. So
Right.
I kind of want to talk about that experience and what that felt like because I know a lot of other Latinos can probably relate to that feeling of the pressure and being unsure if it's going to be successful and everything. So why don't you tell us a little bit more about that?
Definitely. So before I started business school, I was working in management consulting, which is a very typical corporate America job.
Mhm.
And I was there for 5 years, and I saw what the partners at the company and the leadership. I saw kind of what their lifestyle was, and I knew that while it was good and comfortable and safe, it just wasn't something that I felt was for me. The comfortability and the safety. I thought, you know what, if I want to actually start accumulating not only my wealth but generational wealth, I need to take
Mhm.
a bigger leap and I need to take a bigger risk. So when I was applying to business school, I put in my applications like, hey, this is my chance to pivot into a riskier position. And I'm looking specifically at entrepreneurship and at startups. And I did dabble in creating some of my own businesses while I was in business school, but I felt like the best way for me to learn in a more risk averse way was to join an early stage startup, learn from my teammates there, and eventually see if I actually want to build something of my own later on in the future. The one of the big things that I was considering around risk was obtaining equity in a company. And
Mhm.
getting equity as part of your total compensation is something that a lot of Latinos don't really know about. It's not something that we're actually told by our parents. It's things that we find out later on. And when it comes to getting an offer and figuring out how to negotiate it, it's hard. It's hard for us because we actually don't even know where to start. Like, what is RSUs? What does it mean to have percent ownership in a business? It's something that I wanted to learn more about. And the best way for me to kind of start developing that future lifestyle that I want of more freedom, more autonomy in my life was to start pursuing a startup sooner rather than later.
That's awesome. And I feel like we could make probably multiple episodes kind of going into all the things you wish you would have known or the things, the advice that you want to give to other Latinos. But with the last 2 minutes that we have, I guess just any general advice, like I said, things you wish you knew before going into your academic journey or your startup journey that you want to leave the audience with.
Yeah, I would say that networking is probably one of the biggest tips. You can either find someone through LinkedIn, you could DM someone, like don't be shy. Don't be shy.
Mhm.
Send out the message. I mean, Sonia also, messaged me. Like I think that's like a great way to start. Like if you see someone who is doing something that you are interested in pursuing, hit them up. Be genuine. Let them know that you're interested in learning more and having maybe like 10 to 15 minutes of their time. And you got to start somewhere. So try to identify the people doing the things that you want to do and just ask.
Yeah. I love that because I always tell people the same thing. Like the worst thing that they could do is just like leave you on red or never open it. But at
Right.
least you tried. What if they do respond? So, thank you so much for sharing your story. I will have all of Jaime's socials linked in the episode here. Definitely connect with him, reach out, and go watch some of his videos and content. Jaime, thank you again so much for being here, and I will see you guys on the next episode.
Thanks, everyone.
Follow the podcast on all social platforms at Cuéntame con Sonia Camacho. Listen to us on Spotify, Apple Music, and YouTube. Want to be featured in a future episode? Email cuéntame.sonia@gmail.com. Thank you to our equipment sponsor, Shure.